What were my specific symptoms with C. diff? Okay, let's see. I had to go back 4 years today to actually remember what they actually were for me, because I didn't have your typical onset C. diff symptoms that majority of people have. You have to remember there are 39 strains of C. diff, and not every single one carries the same type of symptom. This list right here is going to be your strains with no diarrhea in the beginning. Diarrhea will increase as your symptoms increase from C. diff. Now, I specifically had the 027 ribotype strain, which is called the B1 NAP1 027 strain. It is one of the most deadly strains, and it does not typically present diarrhea in the beginning nor during treatment, and it can often be masked even by hard stools. For me, the very first symptom I had with this was incomplete emptying. I would go to the bathroom as usual, and I realized I would have one bowel movement. I would get up, my stomach looked like a balloon, and I would have to sit back down immediately. And this lasted for about an hour, then it progressed to 2 hours, eventually 3 hours, and then the signs of loss of appetite started appearing. I started eating less and less. For example, my cat was dying at the time. We were door dashing, my sister and I. Again, I was not the account holder. Every night, in the middle of the night, we would get ourselves something to eat also. My 2 cheeseburgers or chicken sandwiches or whatever they may be ended up becoming 1, and then eventually just half of 1, and I started skipping meals throughout the day. Then I started noticing the burning pain in the back. That was one of the very first symptoms I had. After the incomplete bowel movements, every single night that we were driving, or if I was working, I worked 11 months during all of this, I just had this torching, burning pain on the right side of my colon that wrapped around to the front of the liver, Eventually, as symptoms progressed for me, everything started getting worse. Food started smelling absolutely awful. I remember one time taking 3 bites of a frozen pizza before work, and I just collapsed on the floor. I couldn't function. My parents were running up to me saying, "How can 3 bites of food do this to you? You need to stay home." I kept telling them that I can't. I have to go to work. I was a salesperson. I had to meet certain quotas. Everything just started intensifying. If I was in the break room with my coworkers, I would smell all of their foods at once. If I opened my food and it was something that I couldn't eat, I'd get this awful sensation that I just need to go to the restroom immediately. I didn't know whether I was going to vomit or whether I was going to come out the other end. But as symptoms started progressing, the very first thing that I noticed was I profusely sweated on the couch for 30 hours, and I was not able to eat or drink any water. And I went straight to Ensure because for 5 days I wasn't able to eat any food. And I realized you cannot just not eat for 5 days, and that's when I decided I needed to go to a doctor. And as I kept getting more and more misdiagnosed, and eventually was given 4 times antibiotics into this infection, including levofloxacin, as you mentioned, that's when everything went downhill for me. I started having extreme weight loss. I lost over 100 pounds. I started having very frequent bathroom trips. I'm talking maybe 15 to 30 times going diarrhea a day, and I could not eat hardly anything. I became so skinny, so frail. I lost my color in my face. I had tremors. I had an extremely rapid heart rate. I would profusely sweat if I would quit the medications that my GI doctor at the time put me on. I quit them each time before a test, just to let other doctors know that, hey, there's something seriously going on. And during those 4 days that I would quit these medications, I started having a fever, extremely rapid heart rate. I couldn't breathe. There was just so many things going on, but I'm going to list a general list of symptoms right here for you, which kind of identify what to expect if you have C. diff. These are general symptoms for C. diff, for pretty much any type of strain, but like I mentioned in the beginning, those strains listed above are not going to present typical symptoms. You need to watch out for incomplete emptying, loss of appetite, and nausea as your first symptoms with any of those strains. If you have just general C. diff or any of the other strains, these are going to be your main symptoms right here. Diarrhea, abdominal cramping, nausea, fever, loss of appetite, dehydration, weight loss, and yes, you will also see blood or mucus in your stool, which I ended up having as well. Now, closer to them actually figuring out that it was C. diff, I was already with a urologist as well, because I started having bladder incontinence. The end stage of C. diff is kidney failure. I was peeing approximately 450 to 500 milliliters every 30 minutes. It was just absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't even stand anymore. Each time I got up to go greet customers at the front, I started having fainting spells. I got completely white vision in front of me. I couldn't see anything for about 5 to 10 seconds. Oh, and another big symptom I had was constant echoing in my ear. That was my heart, because it was just beating way too fast. Also, like I mentioned, fever. When I started going to the doctors more and more frequently for them to diagnose me, they started scanning my forehead, and I would immediately have a 102 fever, and people thought that I actually had COVID, and I told them no, it was because of what was going on. They almost didn't let me get seen. So there was a lot of things that I went through, but I hope this helps, and I really pray that you don't have it. It is something that I wouldn't wish upon anyone. Please let me know if any of y'all are experiencing this. I am here to advocate on this. I'm going to keep advocating on this, and I hope that this video helps anyone who is suffering with something this horrible. God bless.